Okay, happy Sabbath. I'm really nervous, so I just want to pray really, really fast one more time. Please bow your head. Dear God, thank you so much for all these people that came to church. Thank you so much for your Sabbath. Please help them to understand my message today. And thank you so much for the opportunity I had to go to India and the opportunity to share my experience with these people. Amen. Okay, so like Jeff said, some of you guys might not know me, but I go to Sunnydale, and thanks to you guys, I was able to go to India. So thank you so much for that. The money, it was such a blessing receiving the exact amount. I don't know if I shared this, but this last October, it was the deadline kind of, and a week before the deadline, I had received the exact amount, not $1 over, not $1 short, the exact. So that was a huge blessing. So I kind of want to rewind a few years before this year, more than a few. But I did go to Springfield, Seventh Adventist Academy, and I remember going to Music Fest and hearing the Sunnydale students talk about their mission experience. And I just remember somebody, I think his name is Patrick, he was talking up front, and he was saying how he prayed that the rain would stop, and the rain, literally, it just stopped right there, just so he could preach. And I was I've never had one of those, super awesome miracles, not that I've seen, God works every day in our lives and performs miracles. But I had never really experienced that, huge thing, So I was I really want to go. I just want to go on a mission trip. So my 8th grade year, I started praying, not every day. I did for a month, prayed every day. And then I kind of started forgetting about it. But my freshman year, I started saving up for it. And then my sophomore year, I started getting money from you guys, which is awesome. And then last October, I got all of the money. So I was able to go this year in March. Well, a month after I raised all the money, I was super on fire for God. I was so excited to go to India. We were practicing our sermons at school, and I was just super excited to go. A month later, in November, I got news up at school. I got a phone call saying my mom was in the hospital. And I was I did not know why she was in the hospital. I was super, confused. But my grandpa told me it was, super serious and that I needed to come home. So I drove home the next morning, and the doctors were, telling me that my mom was going to die and that she had no chance. She was an alcoholic. She had complete liver and kidney failure. And so I was super angry, not at God, but just super angry that I hadn't seen her. At Sunnydale, I wasn't able to call her much because I get my phone taken away at night. And so I was just super angry, and I just remember crying out to God and just saying, God, I need a miracle. I'm not going to be satisfied if you don't save her. And I remember praying that prayer, I need you to save her, and I had so much faith. I prayed every single day that I was in the hospital. I never went home. I came straight from school with all my stuff, and I just lived in that hospital for the 4 days that she was there. And it was really hard because I had to put all my faith in God, and I told the doctors, they kept telling me that she was going to die, and I was no, I do serve a God that can save her if he wants, he'll save her. And I just remember telling the doctors that, and they were just okay, if you want to believe that. And they were super, I don't know, they just really frustrated me. But I just kept my faith, and she did end up dying on Thanksgiving Day. So it was just really hard, me, I don't know, I kind of lost my faith, kind of. And then I went back to school, because I had to go back to school, of course, and I had adults telling me that I shouldn't go to India, that I was obviously depressed, I lost weight, I needed a counselor, blah, blah, blah. They were just you probably shouldn't go to India. And I was well, I still want to go to India, this isn't going to stop me, So I did go to India, and the first week I was super distracted. We got to India. It was I don't know, a two-day flight, it was really long. But we got to India, and I was so distracted. I wasn't thinking about my mom. I wasn't thinking about my family. I was just so focused on the mission. And I was super on fire for God the first week we got there. We went to Diamond Harbor. This is my translator. You guys can't really see it. That one is better, but yeah. My translator's name was Tapan. He barely spoke English, so it was really hard to talk to him. But he was a good translator. We got there, and our mission was to preach. I don't know if I've shared this with all of you guys, but we were supposed to preach to the people who didn't know Jesus in India. So all of his students, we each had one translator, and we would go out, however far our sight was, alone with our translator, on this rickshaw, which was it was like a tricycle with like a motor, and that was their transportation. Yeah, it was crazy. And they didn't really have toilets or showers. They like showered in ponds. It was like a huge culture shock. Yeah, they didn't have very much technology at all. They didn't have houses. They had mud huts. So it was really different than America. But this is my translator, Tapan. Whenever we got to Diamond Harbor in India, it was about 15 minutes to my site. The first night I didn't preach, so that was kind of discouraging. We went there, and there were some political issues. My translator didn't really explain it all to me very well, but from what I understood, they didn't want me there. They didn't want me talking about Jesus. So I prayed about it, and the next day I got to preach. And I had 200 people at my site that didn't know God. So that was a huge blessing. And sadly, the next day, there was like a ruler of Diamond Harbor. He came and told us that he wanted us to leave, that he did not want us talking about Jesus. And so we had to leave. And he was like, go back to America, go back to wherever you came from. We do not want you here. Well, we had to stay there, because we can't just leave. So at like 11 o'clock at night, we had to get on this bus. It was like 100 degrees there. And we're all super tired, super sweaty. All of our translators and all of us students just squeeze on this bus. And they do not shower, so it just smelled really bad. But, and we smelled bad too. But, yeah, so we get on this bus, and we're going to a different place. And none of us really knew where we were going, but they had gone there last year, the year before, and it's called the Sundarban Islands. And, yeah, these are some kids. Yeah, so this is the Sundarban Islands. And it was different than where we were previously staying. But this was an Adventist school, so I felt safer because in Diamond Harbor, nothing was really sanitary. And then we went to an Adventist school, and I was like, okay, cool, they're Adventists. Like, even though we don't speak the same language, I felt more safe with them, So that was cool. But this time, there were sites that were like hours away. Because we weren't planning on going to this place. We were planning on preaching in Diamond Harbor. So everything changes. We're all preaching at totally different new sites. And somebody says, there's an island far away. Does anybody want to take a boat to go to it? And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to get on a boat. So I raised my hand, not knowing that it was an hour away. But I raised my hand, and I was like, yeah, I want to go on a boat, and I want to go to a different island. So I did. And that was all good. It was kind of scary because at night, you don't really know anybody, and it was just me and my translator. So that was kind of hard, but I'd get to the site, and I had about 20 people, and that was a big difference from the 200. So I was like, okay, even if there's one person, I should still preach, right? So I was preaching to them, and everything's going good, but I just started getting like really kind of scared and discouraged. I was like, why is God calling us to different places? Like, we could have preached the 3 weeks that we were here, but now we're behind because we had to move, and now we're having to restart our sermons to totally new people. And the people that we were preaching to, they're just left with that first creation sermon, So it was all really confusing, but I was still on fire for God. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. 20 people, it's fine. And I got a couple nights after that, I don't know what happened, but like Satan attacked me. I started having really, really, really scary nightmares about my mom. And I even woke up one night and thought I saw her. And I was just super upset. I was like praying to God that the nightmares would go away, and they weren't. And I totally lost my faith again. And I was like, why am I here? Like, why am I on this mission trip? I want to know. I want to make a difference. But now I'm crying all the time. Like, for 3 days straight, I could not preach. I was crying, like, at different moments of the day. Like, I could not control it, and I just felt so attacked by God. And one of my leaders, he helped me. He told me that I needed to let a female leader preach for me, and I needed to just get into the Bible and to read the Bible. So for 3 days out of my mission trip, I didn't preach, and I just got into the Word. And I didn't, like, choose a book at first. I just kind of opened it up. But every single verse, it seemed like, was telling me to trust God no matter what, to trust Him. And that requires faith, You can't just trust something So I was just like, okay, I want a reason to trust God. Like, He didn't save my mom in the hospital. I just want to see Him work. So I started reading my Bible a lot. I started praying a lot. And finally, I stopped crying about my mom. I started to focus on the mission again. And I started making goals each day. So I started to pray for 10 people to get baptized at my site. That's half of the people who were there. There was 20. So that's kind of like a big favor to ask God, But I wanted a miracle because everybody goes back to India with miracles. They all have these stories, and I just wanted something. So I was like, God, I'm asking you. I just want 10 people. Just give me 10 people to get baptized. That's all. That's all I'm asking. And I preached the rest of the time. And I fought through. It was really hard I just wanted to be home. I was kind of depressed, thinking about my mom, and it was very, very hard. But I started praying just every day, continually. Like, I just got into the Word and focused on God the whole time, the rest of the trip. And at the end of the trip, sorry, I'm not even showing you guys pictures. These are some kids. This is the boat that I went to my site. These are the people that got baptized. There was 16. So even though I asked God for 10, He gave me 16. And there was only 4 left. I mean, we had more visitors every now and then, but there was a solid 20 each night. And that's only 4 people who didn't get baptized. And I just thanked God. Like, after their baptisms, I was just so on fire for God. I was like, God, you are awesome. I was just so excited because He not only answered my prayer, He gave me more than I asked for. And that was such a blessing. And He really answered my prayer when I asked Him to show me. And there's a song, I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like, I don't know, it's on K-Love in 88.3 The Wind. It's like, when you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. Do you guys know it? Okay. Well, anyway, that's kind of what my prayer was. I was just like, God, I need you to move. Like, I need to see something. And He did. He showed me this. And it was awesome. So yeah, it was an amazing trip. I got to see these people get baptized. It was really hard saying bye, even though I wanted to leave at one point. I got so attached to the kids and to the people. One really sad thing that happened that we don't really notice over here, we don't ever hear about things that happen in third world countries. One night on the boat, there were some sick kids, and we didn't really know what was going on because they speak Bengali and we speak English. So I was like, what are these people doing? And my translator wasn't telling me anything. Like, he was kind of a stinker sometimes. He was kind of honoring. He just wouldn't talk to me sometimes, and I was like, okay, you got to communicate. But anyway, so he told me, he was like, these kids are sick. They took some expired worm medicine from their public schools. And I was like, okay, are they okay? And there's these moms on the boat with me going back to our site late at night. There's these mothers crying. And I was like, are they okay? And we didn't know what was happening, but I guess 8 kids ended up dying just from this expired medicine, which was really sad because they're just kids. And some of the kids were actually at my site. They lived, thankfully, but they were on their way to the hospital in the boat. So that was really sad. Something that you don't see over here happen often is public schools giving out expired worm medicine and it being, So that was really sad. And another thing, it was awesome to see their technology. we don't build mud houses and we don't like garden as much as they do, but they are very, very smart. Like, they don't shower and they don't have technology, they don't have washing machines, they don't have all this stuff that we do. So it was really awesome seeing all that, and I don't know, coming back to America and being so blessed. Like, we are so spoiled here. But I guess what I want to leave with you guys is this verse, scripture reading. The righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. So, yeah, just in my experience in India, I cried out to God, and I didn't at first. At first, I was like crying to my friends. I was like, I miss my mom. I want to go home. Why am I here? I should be with my family. They're still grieving. Why am I on this mission trip doing this mission? But instead, I should have cried out to God, because as soon as I cried out to God, everything got better. And I guess that's just what I want to leave with you guys, is instead of going to your spouse or your friends, I know it's really hard because I do that. I call my dad when I'm crying or upset. But we need to cry to God first, because he hears us and he will help us, like this verse says. Like, if we cry out to him, he's going to deliver us out of our troubles. So that's just what I want to leave with you guys. Thank you for letting me share.